information on standardized tests such as GRE, GMAT, SAT, TOEFL and IELTS. We also provide information on education abroad. Today, I'm going to discuss the prerequisites for admission into a US college or university. We know that when we apply into a US college or university, the admission panel or council of that school or university will ask you to submit a lot of documents and furnish details related to your academic performance and your personal whereabouts. So what are those things? So my objective is to give some heads up to those students who are planning to get into a US school or university. This may be also helpful to students those who are planning to immigrate to countries like Australia, New Zealand, the UK and Canada. Now, without any further ado, I'm going to get into it. The first thing is called GPA or grade point average. This is nothing but the average of the grades that you've earned in your school or college prior to your MS. Now, normally in the US, they have a GPA system, but in countries like India, we have either a percentage system or a CGPA. Obviously, you know that CGPA stands for cumulative grade point averages, and normally this is measured on a scale of 0 to 10. You know that percentage is obviously measured on a scale of 100. The American system, as against this, measures the performance of the students on a scale of 0 to 4. So there is a kind of discrepancy between the way that we project the performance of the students here and the way that they do it in the US. So how do we overcome this problem? Okay. So if you are any potential applicant and you are already dejected and disconcerted, hold on, there is good news for you. The best way to overcome this problem is to actually try to solve it online. So there are a lot of websites available online. You can go to these websites, key in your scores, your percentages, your scales into the system that they offer, and they will throw up the equivalent of the American grade point average. Now, so that is the first thing. So that's your GPA. So what is the next thing that you should be concerned about or you should be ready with? So there is actually something called SOP. SOP stands for Statement of Purpose. Now what is this? This could be most often an essay that you actually written in support of your application. Why do you want to do an MS? What you have so far done in this particular subject area? So far, what is your expertise in this particular area? Once you're done with your studies, what are you going to do for the society and things like that? So you're going to answer all these questions in your SOP or your statement of purpose. Certain schools and universities will actually give you a topic to write your SOP on, whereas certain schools and universities, they leave it to the imagination of the student. Okay. Now that is the SOP part. Now the next most important thing is something called ECA. ECA stands for extracurricular activities. Alright. Now in the college or the university, you might have involved in activities other than your academic activities, which means you might have actually taken part in sports competition or arts competition, might have been a part of the NSS or NCC, or you might even be a part of a non-government organization or some charitable trust. If you've done anything like this other than your academics and you have actually some document, some evidence to back it up, it would be prudent you include these ideas, these documents, these evidence into your application. Now, the next thing is called CCA. CCA stands for co-curricular activities. As the name suggests, it is actually activities that are associated with your academic pursuits, which means, let's say that you actually organized a seminar, you presented a paper in the seminar or symposium, So you organized a science fest and things like that. If you've done any of this and you have something to prove it up, then it would be a good idea you also include the details of these things as a part of your application. So that is actually CCA. What is the next important thing? The next important thing is your GRE. GRE stands for Graduate Record Examinations. Now, it is a standardized test. It is a reasoning test. Alright? GRE has got majorly three parts. The first part is known as Analytical Writing Assessment, or AWA or AWA. So this particular part has got actually two different essays. First part is called an issue-based essay. You will be writing an essay on a given topic. The second part is known as analysis of an argument. That means you will be given an argument and your job is to identify the logical fallacies inherent in the argument and come up with suggestions to improve that argument. That is argument essay. Now, the other two parts are verbal reasoning as well as quantitative reasoning. Verbal reasoning is a combination of your linguistic skills in English and reasoning. Now, what is quantitative reasoning section? It means they're going to actually test your reasoning ability in quantitative data. Most often this could involve comparative analysis, problem solving on variety of areas. So all these things I will talk about in detail when I talk about the GRE examination and its structure. So as of now, GRE test is actually a very important parameter. It is scored on a scale of 340. That is the maximum score. The minimum score is actually 260. So if you are planning to get into a good school or college, the score has to be somewhere around 310 to 15. If you are actually targeting Ivy League, then you should be scoring 325 to 330. Your score is actually valid for 5 long years. Alright? Now, so that's actually about your GRE. Obviously, GRE is a test that actually compare your performance and your ability with the other applicants and their performance. Alright? So that's actually just one part of it. Since you're actually going to get in an English speaking country, it is important that they also measure your ability in English language. Because we are going to actually face situations in our day-to-day life. Let's say that you want to actually go to a restaurant, or you go to a movie, or you go to an exhibition. There are situations that you'll have to actually deal with the people, local people, who are native speakers of English. That's actually one situation. Therein, your English skills definitely will come handy. Now, the other situation is you're going to sit in a classroom where everybody else is actually speaking English, and the medium of instruction itself is English. Now, if you do not have adequate English skills, it is not possible for you to be successful in this college environment. So since the objective of the admission panel is to predict your potential as a student, they would insist that you get a language test score, a language test such as TOEFL or IELTS or PTE. You know that obviously the most popular ones are IELTS and TOEFL. PTE actually is also a test that's actually coming up pretty close to it, but majorly TOEFL and IELTS. Now, so that's about TOEFL and IELTS, and apart from this TOEFL and IELTS, you should also submit your bank statement. Basically that you're going to study in an English speaking country, in a foreign country, a lot of expenses, which means your tuition fee plus your cost of living in the US. Okay, and you need to actually prove to the US government, the Department of Homeland Security, Department of Justice, and your school and college, the US Foreign Department, all these concerned departments, that you are financially sound enough to stay and study in the US. Now, this is actually something that we actually prove through submitting a bank statement. Now, there's actually one more thing that's actually called the sponsor's affidavit. Most of the students who actually go to study in the US are sponsored by their parents or their relatives or sometimes even their employers. So in any of these cases, you will have to actually get an assurance from your sponsor, be it your dad or mom, uncle, brother, or the company that you're working for. So this is called the sponsor's affidavit, and the sponsor's affidavit normally actually written on a stamp paper, signed by the sponsor and submitted to the school which you're actually applying to. That's actually sponsor's affidavit. And the other most important thing is your passport, and you have to submit a copy of your passport. And so once you submit all these things into the college will actually look into your application. You normally download your application form from the college website, and you submit all these details to the colleges. Another thing that the college want you to do is to submit something called LOR. This is actually known as letters of recommendation. Ideally speaking, if you could get letters of recommendation from a faculty or the teachers who actually taught you in some subject area during your college days, that would be ideal. You can as well submit recommendation letters from your manager, reporting manager, senior in the company, and so on and so forth. But the best one would be LORs from your alma mater, your professors. If the professors directly teach you, that would be actually excellent. So ideally speaking, you should be submitting 3 such letters of recommendation. Now before that we conclude this particular talk, so once again let me repeat the point that I actually made for your benefit. So today we talked about admission prerequisites to US colleges and universities. One of the most important thing is your GPA, nothing but grade point averages. This is measured on a scale of 0 to 4, and normally we have to convert the Indian scores like in CGPA and in percentages into GPA. The second most thing is your LOR or letters of recommendation, and the third one is actually SOP or statement of purpose. Then we have extracurricular activities, co-curricular activities, bank statement, sponsors affidavit. So these are certain things that you're supposed to submit. Now normally there are 2 different types of intakes for US colleges and the universities. Mainly there are other intakes as well. Majorly one is the spring intake, and the other one is the fall intake. Okay. Now the spring intake, the classes normally begin in the month of late Jan or early Feb. And as far as the fall intakes are concerned, it is a mid-term intake, a mid-year intake, I would rather say that. So the classes normally commence in mid-August or late August or early September. Okay. We know that we need to actually submit the applications well in advance based on the deadlines set by different schools and colleges, and you definitely need to actually go to different websites and check the rankings of the schools and colleges and look at the deadlines that they set for application. International students should actually apply well before the first deadline itself, and most often the schools and the universities will set their deadlines in like a first deadline and a second deadline, and we are supposed to submit our application in the first deadline itself. And this is very, very important. So you will have to submit all this document to the school and college. Once they decide that you are actually eligible for admission in the school or college, obviously they will intimate you. Then you'll have to actually pay certain amount. So basically after that you will normally get something called a form I-20. This is basically the school and college along with the Department of Justice, or the school or college in conjunction with the Department of Justice, is letting you know that you are eligible to enter into the US for study in a school or university, or in this particular case in a specific school or university. Now the only hurdle that is actually before you is the visa. Okay, and you normally use your I-20 to apply for a visa, and there will be a date that is actually set for your visa interview. You take part in the visa interview, then you fly to the US city which you're actually going to stay and study. And I hope this informative talk would help you. And so we are going to come up with a lot of discussions. Just the beginning, we're going to actually come up with a series of discussions on a variety of topics. You can expect a lot of discussions, detailed discussions on different topics, be it GRE, be it IELTS, TOEFL, admissions, SAT, GMAT. So sometimes people discuss the strategies. We will talk about the test structures and so on and so forth. So if you are interested in knowing all this stuff, I think Brooklyn Review YouTube channel is the right place, and I hope you like the discussion, I like the talk rather. So in case that you like the talk, I urge you to subscribe and keep listening to us. Hope that you will keep support us, and surely we are here to help you. And I think I should actually end the talk here. Thank you so much.